absent. We are adjourned from executive session. Moving on to 5.1. Discussion of possible action regarding employment and contractual matters related to Dr. Ryan Reducer's associate to the superintendent assignment. We have with us board attorney Mrs. Susan Siegel.
Mr. Toby, members of the board, I presented to you an addendum number 3 to the certificated teacher contract of Ryan Reducer. It deletes addendum number 2. It changes his duties in addendum number 1 to perform such duties as assigned by the individual designated to carry out the duties of the superintendent. And it continues on to refer to paragraph 5 of addendum number 1 by deleting the 10-day notice of termination provision. And those are the only changes to the original contract and the previous addenda.
Okay. And if you could just clarify the correspondence from Dr. Reducer, which is leading up to this item, please.
Mr. Toby, members of the board, I received a copy of a notice that Dr. Reducer sent to you, and that stated that he withdrew from consideration as an interim superintendent for the interim superintendent position, and that he agreed that he will continue to work for the district through June 30th, 2026 at the same rate of pay that he's being paid. I'm sorry, I got a little distracted there. The same rate of pay that he was contracted to pay, which is at $140,000 a year, prorated, of course, for the term.
Thank you, Mrs. Siegel. We do have public comment tied to this line item. Speakers will have 3 minutes. First public speaker is Megan Gutierrez.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Good afternoon. My name is Megan Gutierrez.
Can you hear me?
Is she good?
We can hear you. I'm sorry, we're just linking in Mrs. Bolt, so you'll have your time back.
Okay. Am I good?
Okay.
Good morning. I am a parent of 3 children that have attended Peoria Unified School District for the past 9 years. I'm also an educator for the district for the past 5 years. I've never attended a board meeting before, and I felt very strongly to be here today after overwhelming concern from the community regarding Dr. Reducer in this position.
Microphone wasn't on. May we give her time back?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and reset your time, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can hear you, but please, for the public, go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Megan Gutierrez. I am a parent of 3 children in this school district for the past 9 years. I'm also an educator in this district for the past 5 years. I've never attended a board meeting before, but felt very strongly to be here today after overwhelming concern from myself and the community that I am in regarding Dr. Reducer and his current position. I have had the privilege of working with Dr. Reducer as a colleague, and also very fortunate to have him as a teacher to my daughter. And I also took a half day off to be here. I don't know if it's normal to hold board meetings at this time, but I can tell you that it's a little odd. The community thinks it's a little odd, which is part of the reason I felt strongly to be here. Dr. Reducer's passion, enthusiasm, and dedication that he has brought to his position when he was teaching was absolutely outstanding. It was no surprise to me when I heard that he had stepped into the assistant to the superintendent role. The few times I've had the privilege of crossing paths with him, it was evident that he brought that same enthusiasm, passion, and dedication for students to his new role. I cannot think of anyone more qualified to be in this position, and I'm concerned about what's going on in the district, and that's why I'm here today. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. And Mrs. Bose, you were live, just so you know.
Hello, this is my first ever board meeting, but I do agree with her that I do think it's weird that it was randomly announced about like 30 minutes before it was supposed to start. But I strongly oppose this rush appointment of HR Chief Tayala Vicentainer, sorry if I mispronounced your name, as interim superintendent. The decision by President Jeff Toby, Clerk Rebecca Prodiff, and outgoing Superintendent Somers is wrong and lacks transparency and proper process. Just a month ago, the board chose Ludusher as interim specifically to investigate ignored reports of teachers grooming and sexually abusing students. Now they're replacing that person with an HR executive who joined PUSD less than a year ago. And as a resident of Peoria, I think it is weird that someone who doesn't have a lot of experience, especially in the school district, just got promoted that fast. Visionaire's background is human resource, not education, leadership, student achievement, or school administration. Putting the HR director in charge sends a terrible message. Sends a terrible message. Protecting staff matters more than protecting students. This move risks slowing or buying the critical investigation parents have demanded. I urge the board to reverse this appointment immediately and keep Ludusher or select a qualified educator through a proper process. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. Our next public speaker, Inger Heber.
Good afternoon, board. Mrs. Rooks, thank you for everything you've done. I wanted to bring to attention the fact that it's the week of graduation. It's the last week of school, and it seems very concerning that you would decide that 11 o'clock on a random Wednesday, is it Wednesday? Tuesday, to decide to have a board meeting to take away the person that you 3 weeks ago put in as your interim superintendent. But it also does not make any sense over the last several weeks and months how this board has acted. It is inappropriate for you to bully somebody out of their job. It is inappropriate to take a man, put him in a position, sign him into a contract, and then take all of that away. How dare you? This is absolutely the most disgusting thing I have ever seen in a board, and you should be removed, to be perfectly honest, especially you, Mr. Toby.
Thank you for your public comment. Next public comment comes from just the first name, Patrick. We can make sure the timer is set for 3 minutes.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Toby, we are having technical difficulties. I will set a timer on my phone.
I actually don't believe that partisan politics are driving this current monkey show. This is not my circus, not my monkey, but you're primarily upset that Ms. Rooks broke the code by effectively spitting in the district soup, and it's shameful what's going on right now. I further believe that the current superintendent, Casey Summers, right now he's badly in need of a trusted insider to essentially cover his six as he exits the district. He's unwilling to leave the keys in the hands of an honest man who isn't a devotee of the playbook that all the districts follow. Right, Ms. Siegel? In situations of sex abuse. But not to worry, he will get no rest until he becomes honest and transparent. Finally, someday, I'll wait for that answer. To the board, I'd like to say, hiding all of your latest dirty work under the cover of executive session in the middle of the week when people are clearly booked for other things. I don't know why you would do this. I guess I do know why you would do this, but it's just further eroding the public trust, and you're basically becoming the advertising pamphlet for ESAs right now. Everybody's like, why do I want my kids in this mess? and that's what you're getting, you know? Thanks.
Thanks for your public comment. Next public comment comes from Sharon Benson.
If I can get up and move. Thank you, Ouster Toby, governing board members, and Dr. Summers. Well, here we are, smack in the middle of a day at a special meeting, apparently to undo the will of the board that was, as Ms. Heber said, voted on 3 weeks ago. Now, I was going to briefly recap, but I think everybody knows the entire situation. And when I came and spoke at the ousting meeting of Heather Brooks, I mentioned that it really begs credibility to believe that no one at Centennial knew the sexual rumors that were happening. It also begs credulity to believe that Mr. LaDucer, on his own, said, you know what, let me just leave. His wife, I'm sure I can read this because it was public record. On May 17th, 2026, Ryan was contacted by Dr. Summers and asked to voluntarily withdraw from consideration for the interim superintendent position. Ryan was informed that this request was being made at the direction of members of the school board. Now, that's plural, so I'm going to make a statement that perhaps open meeting law has been violated if 2 or more of you discussed with Dr. Summers and yourselves that Mr. LaDucer has to, or strongly suggesting that he leave. Process is very important, and the process that your board has taken over the last couple months is really reprehensible from a transparency standpoint. As Patrick said, you are absolutely the advertisement for ESA. I believe Mrs. Bowles said at the meeting of the ousting of Mrs. Rooks that Peoria is the fastest growing ESA district in the state. There's a reason for that. Calling a meeting in the middle of a work week during the final week of school when you should be celebrating your graduates and their accomplishments and not distracting them with all of this chaos is quite absolutely, it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. I handled my board seat that way in Mesa. I would pray to God that people would oust me because I would not be working for the people. I'd be working for a district that wants to protect itself. That's unacceptable. It is unacceptable. You are publicly elected officials. Your job, morally, not just legally, morally is to protect children, and you have not been doing it. It's hypocritical as well. You ousted Heather because she went against the will of the board. How are you doing anything different, Mrs. Proudfoot or Mr. Toby? Thank you.
Public comment. Final public comment on this line item comes from Desiree Burke.
The role of the superintendent, according to past board discussions, manage operations, translate board policies into actionable administrative procedures, manage daily district operations, including staffing, facilities, finances, and instructional programs, lead district staff to achieve excellence across all areas of the organization, and foster transparency and trust through consistent messaging and engagement. Candidate 1, more than 20 years of experience in public education, serving in a variety of leadership and instructional roles, served as an administrator, classroom teacher, and instructional coach with extensive experience in curriculum development, instructional leadership, and school improvement initiatives. Taught in higher education, curriculum design, innovative instructional practices, including the integration of emerging technologies in education. Recognized for his commitment in strengthening teaching and learning through data-informed decision-making, professional development, and collaborative leadership. Work in education spans both domestic and international contexts, providing him with a broad perspective on effective instructional systems and school leadership. These are the district's own words on their own website today. Candidate 2, experienced human resources leader, operational leadership experience, demonstrated history of working in all types of industries, including nonprofit. Strengths include coaching, team building, management, performance management, and selection. Skilled at developing and streamlining processes to increase awareness, knowledge, and execution. This is the candidate's own words on her own LinkedIn. I don't know either of these people, but I do have a dog in this fight, my kids. 2 months ago, 4 of the 5 of you voted to recognize the obvious talents of Dr. Ryan Ledusser, whose resume leads with extensive educational leadership experience. We're hiring someone to oversee the running of schools, not someone who is an attorney. We already have those. Can current and future employees trust this board? Today we'll answer that question. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. In a recent board meeting, board members condemned former President Rooks for calling for a third-party investigation, which they stated could jeopardize the prosecution and judicial process, potentially letting pedophiles off the hook. Now this same board, who boasts transparency and prioritizing the safety of children, makes moves during one of the busiest weeks of school, at a time when most can't attend, to vote someone into the highest level of leadership at the district who is reported to being in oversight of the current investigation. This couldn't bring into question anything legally? Is the whole process smoke and mirrors? We're here for kids, period. That's it. No politics. Cut out the nonsense. Apologize to Dr. Ryan Ledusser and his family. Keep your word and pray to God he has the grace to proceed in this role. And I added this at the end because of how this meeting started. President Toby, no one believes he suddenly voluntarily stepped down. Respectfully, the lawyer's statement is very vague. He submitted a resignation, okay,
Your time is up.
under duress.
That is final public comment. I will go ahead and go to the board. Start off with Ms. Rose.
So I'm just gonna make a statement here, and I'm reading it off my phone, so bear with me. Today I want to speak openly about what I believe has been a deeply disappointing, and in my opinion, unethical process surrounding the removal of Dr. Ryan Ledusser as interim superintendent. On April 23rd, this board voted 4-1 to nominate Dr. Ledusser as interim superintendent effective July 1st, 2026, and to begin contract negotiations with the attorney. That vote mattered. Our word should matter. The public should be able to trust that when this board takes official action, it means something. What's disturbing to me is the narrative now being pushed that Dr. Ledusser somehow lost interest in serving this district. That is simply not true. As mentioned, that someone said in the public comment, the spouse, the wife of Dr. Ledusser posted on social media the truth, and that there was a phone call made on a Sunday morning to push him out. On a Sunday when he's supposed to be with his family. Stating that they wanted to go in a different direction. Again, I had no idea that this was happening. But what is deeply concerning is that where is the transparency in this process? Because we sat up here the past couple months, I was being questioned with the process. We did interviews. We went through the whole process. So how do you publicly support and vote for someone, begin contract negotiations, and then suddenly pivot behind closed doors without any public discussion, explanation, or accountability to the community? By also calling for this meeting at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday. Dr. Ryan Ledusser stepped up during a difficult time for this district. He stepped forward to serve students, families, and staff. He has done nothing wrong. Yet instead of transparency and professionalism, what we are seeing is someone being pushed aside while a false narrative is spread, suggesting he no longer wanted this position. That is unfair to him, and it is unfair to the students, staff, parents, and the community. I also find it troubling that when we previously discussed the interim leadership and associate superintendent positions, like I said, we conducted interviews. But now there appears to be no consistency at all today. I, as a board member, saw the agenda posted and saw a name just put on the agenda on 5.2. Typically, when board members want an item discussed or considered for future action, it is brought forward during future agenda item requests at the end of a board meeting. A board member requests it publicly, and another board member seconds it, and then it comes back
and no meaningful public discussion about why the board is abandoning the very person they previously voted to support. And I also believe this is a disservice to our community, our parents, our staff, and our students, and the very people who elected us into these positions. Holding a meeting on a Tuesday weekday at 11 a.m. regarding one of the biggest decisions facing this district at a time when many working parents, staff members, and community members cannot reasonably attend or provide public input. This meeting could have waited until next week. There was no reason to rush the process the way that it has been rushed, regardless of whatever narrative is now being pushed out publicly. That raises serious concerns for me as a board member about governance, consistency, and integrity. What message does this send to our employees and our community? That this board is willing to publicly support someone 1 month and then quietly pull the rug out from under them the next. Where does our word matter anymore? How can we expect parents, students, employees to trust leadership when commitments made in public meetings can simply disappear without explanation? In my opinion, what is happening here reflects a culture where individuals who step up, who ask questions, who lead with integrity, and who may not align with certain leadership preferences are pushed aside. And that is dangerous for the future of this district. President Jeff Toby, I believe it was stated at the previous meeting, you spoke about everyone being on the same ship together, working for children and public education. But I have to ask, was Dr. Ryan Leducer ever truly allowed on that ship? Or was he pushed overboard the moment he no longer fit the direction certain individuals wanted to go? Because from where I sit today, this doesn't look like transparency. It does not look like stability, which is what we need right now, which is what was discussed previously in April. And it certainly doesn't look like honoring the commitments this board made publicly in April to the community.
Mrs. Ewing, comments or questions?
Here, here.
Thank you, President Toby. I previously, when the vote came to hire Dr. Leducer as the associate to the superintendent, it was a 5-0 vote. And then when it came to directing the attorney to hire him as an interim to begin the contract negotiations, it was a 4-1 vote. So I stated the type of leader that I thought that this district would need at that time, and I explained my vote. But what I would like to do today on this item is I would like to spend time thanking him for the work that he did do. And also, I want to remind folks that we oftentimes have folks who've retired from the district or working in different roles that do come and help us in different capacities for short periods of time. And I appreciate that Dr. Leducer, for the short time that, because he was only hired a couple of years ago, that he was here, that he was willing to step up and help in an extra capacity. And I think that I've only really sat and talked to him once, but one of the things that I would like us to make sure that we carry forward was his ability to listen and bring lots of different groups of individuals together and listen to the voices of our staff and being able to really facilitate that. So I'd like to make sure that that is carried forward, and his ability to collaborate. So I think that at this time there is a different, well, I just really want to offer my appreciation for the work that he has done. And although I haven't witnessed him in the classroom, I have heard great things about him in the classroom. But I also just want to make sure that we are valuing all of the employees that we do have out there, and Dr. Leducer is one of them, and I appreciate all the work that he does to stay committed to students, and I want to be able to honor what his request is with regards to this position. So I think that's all I have to say, but thank you.
Clerk Crawford.
Similar to Mrs. Ewing, I really want to thank Dr. Leducer. He did
understand your question correctly, you're not increasing any risk in appointing Ms. Visitator to the position of interim superintendent.
Okay, and then, I don't know if this can be answered. If it can't, then you can tell me yes or no, President Tony. How many years does Ms. Visitator have in the classroom as a teacher or a principal, or, experience as a superintendent?
Mrs. Visitator, do you care to respond?
President Toby, Mrs. Bowles, I have not had experience in those positions.
Okay, and then what instructional roles have you had in your career?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, what instructional roles have you had as a superintendent in your career?
Mrs. Bowles, I have been part of organizational development and training for staff and employees for multiple years.
And then formal instruction education, would you say that was what you just described?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, as far as instructional roles, have you done formal instructional education, and is that what you just described?
That is what I described, yes.
Okay, I heard parents, and for everybody that came and spoke, I just can't say thank you enough. You hear first, and the things that were said, I just appreciate that you're all there, some traveling from quite a ways. I am concerned that we are putting the district in a position that the district could be sued. A board attorney has said that, that's not going to be the case, but I don't know. I struck the risk again that, we don't make the decision, but I think the decision started last Saturday. And I will say that an email went out from Dr. Summers, and I responded to an email to Dr. Summers, and never received an answer to that email. Then spoke to President Toby on the phone. This was all Sunday. And then while I was speaking to President Toby on the phone, Dr. Ludister was calling President Toby. So I got off the phone knowing that he needed to talk to him. If you follow that chain of events, the email went out first. The email went out that said we're having this meeting to discuss what's happened today. I don't know if a decision was made already or if it was not, but I can tell you as a board member, I had no idea this was coming down. And I also asked if they change it. The reason I'm not in the room is my daughter just got out of surgery. And nobody could change that because they were in a hurry to make this decision, I guess. The situation does appear to be a witch hunt against conservative board appointed leadership. And in addition to that, it is generating further negativity in the public and demonstrating an instability of this decision. And I voiced that to individuals that have made this, why we're here today, held this meeting. I voiced it more than once, and it's on. As some of you have said, Brian Leisha was voted in, and accepted as the interim. And, some don't agree that he should be the interim. And I will end with this. Never in my career have I ever been overseeing people in, supervisor position or even, statewide agency.
continue serving out his contract as associate to the superintendent, expiring June 30th, 2026, and converting to addendum number 3 as provided by legal counsel.
I will second.
Mrs. Cooper, we have a motion made by myself and a second by Clerk Profit. If you can run us through a voice vote, please.
Ms. Bowles?
No, absolutely no.
President Toby?
Yes.
Mrs. Ewing?
Yes.
Mrs. Rooks?
I'm going to explain my vote. I think it is wrong to stab someone in the back, which is what is happening here today. So I vote no to stabbing someone in the back.
Mrs. Profit?
Yes.
Thank you.
3 yeas, 2 nays, the motion passes. Moving on to 5.2. Discussion of possible action regarding the appointment of Ms. Talia Vicentainer to serve as interim superintendent effective May 26, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, including approval of any related contract terms or assignment provisions. Mrs. Siegel.
Mr. Toby, members of the board, you have seen in front of you a draft interim superintendent contract. It is modeled after the previous superintendent contract, except it is just a month short of 1 year, or no, I'm sorry, except it's 13 months, and instead of 3 years. It has a different base salary, a different amount of tax shelter annuity, and different terms as to termination. If you have any questions, you're certainly welcome to, I'm here for you to ask them, and I'll answer.
Thank you, Mrs. Siegel. We do have public comment tied to this line item. First public comment, you will have 3 minutes. Patrick.
I think I've said it all.
Thank you for your public comment, sir. Next public comment comes from Gabe Johns. Are you good? I saw you put it 5-2, so I'm just offering you the opportunity. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, that is the all extent of public comment. Comments or questions, Mr. Brooks?
I'll just say again, this was a rushed process. This name was just put on the agenda without any further discussion, without any interviews, without any process brought forward. Nothing. It was just, I didn't even know that this was even on the table. I saw it on an email that Ms. Bowles mentioned. We got emailed on a Sunday. So I find that the hypocrisy of the way that things are being done right now, that there's not an actual process. So I'll end with that, because in my opinion, I think this decision has already been made.
Mrs. Ewing.
I don't have any questions in regards to the contract, so thank you.
Mrs. Bowles, I want to provide you the opportunity to ask comments or questions.
Yes, I have a comment and, maybe even a question. I'd like to change the agenda to reflect an effective date and make a request at the end of this meeting for a future agenda item that, I'm requesting a special meeting be called. Teams meeting, Zoom meeting, it can be either of those, as soon as possible in the next 48 to 72 hours to place the soon-to-be former superintendent, Dr. Summers, on leave. So whatever date we can meet again for another special meeting, I would like that date to be reflected in the addendum of when the, board president appointed new interim will start.
Do you have anything additional?
I have a lot, but I don't think I should say it in public. I would say this,
process goes, this is interim, and I believe that,
You have reached 623-221-8680. Leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as.
and I would just say that, to have Mrs. Bissentainer, hold the water for the district, so to speak, for this next and coming year, to identify a process, to have community input, and, a long-range plan on selecting a permanent superintendent is important at running that process. As an HR director and as an attorney, she knows the law, she knows the process, and I have full faith and confidence that she will deliver a solid quality process to allow the board to pick a permanent superintendent who will stay here and who will lead this district. So with that, I motion to approve Mrs. Talia Byzantiner to serve as interim superintendent effective May 26, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, which is substantially similar to the contract submitted to the board as provided by legal counsel.
I will second.
Mrs. Cuthbert, we have a motion made by myself
Is now joining.
and a second made by Clerk Crawford. Mrs. Bowles, are you there?
Yep.
So just to catch you up, we did have a motion by myself and a second by Clerk Crawford to nominate Mrs. Talia Byzantiner as interim superintendent, and Mrs. Cuthbert is going to run us through a voice vote.
As expected, thanks.
Mrs. Crumpet,
Yes.
Ms. Bowles,
No.
Mrs. Ewing, Mrs. Rooks. I'm gonna explain my vote. I'm gonna offer an apology to Dr. Ryan Ledusser and his family for what this board has put him and his family through, and all of the staff members that were excited for
have not been safe or have not done well for students, while also standing up for those who have. I'm humbled, and many people say this, but it is going to be, my focus will be for the future for this district to focus on the students, hiring a superintendent, and providing interim leadership so that we can move forward and tackle all the amazing things we have ahead of us. Thank you for your vote and confidence.
Thank you, Mrs. Vicentainer, for being willing to step into the arena. Board members, any further comments or questions for Mrs. Vicentainer?
I just want to say congratulations. I think it's really special when someone who's homegrown is able to, go from being a foothills Falcon now up to this. I know you have seen every nook and cranny of this district, not just currently, but in its inception, why the programs were created the way they were, what we need to do to pivot. And overall, I know that you are the right person to lead the search for our permanent superintendent. So very excited for you, and please let us know what we can do to support you.
Mrs. Yuen?
I just want to say that I know you've served underneath some pretty respected superintendents in this district, and they have spoken very, very highly of you and so forth. And so I appreciate that we have someone in leadership who has that institutional knowledge and that has really seen the roots of Peoria. And I also appreciate that you're coming in at a time that it's very, it's a difficult time to lead, but I'm excited, and looking through all of your resume and so forth, one of the big things that you've done at other places is just building that employee climate, the positive work environment and so forth, and so just look forward to how you can provide that for us, and let us know how we can continue to support you. So thank you, and I'm excited for you. Thank you.
Mrs. Bowles, are you still with us? Would you like to offer any comments?
Yes, Ms. Superintendent, none of the things I've said today are a reflection of you. I just want you to hear that straight from me. Dr. LaDuster and family, if you're listening, I am very sorry for what you are going through right now. There's really nothing else to say to that. I'm appalled, but I'm sorry that you're going through this. President Toby, I need to know when I can do a request for a teacher agenda item.
That's not agendized